All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Spawn. Of course, it's going to be me day. We've got Verdict with us, and today we have Coach Zim, coach of formerly NYSL Mayhem, now coaching Yo Mama, as well as I do believe you're coaching a European team as well, right?
Yeah, Animus. We're working
Animus.
working with Animus. I have a third team of just people that I know from other games and stuff in Latin America. Just some people that I used to play Vainglory with and stuff, but not very serious.
Vainglory.
We're just we're just sticking around. But yeah, we're chilling. We're doing good.
Well, how are you doing today, Verdict?
Oh, we're chilling, dude. We just got off a hell of a 7-hour Warzone stream, and it's been a binge, bro. We reached level 8 in the squad stream, so it was pretty dope.
Didn't you
Got
guys hit
some
level 8 after I left? Or
yeah,
left?
yeah, dude.
Left,
We hit free like 9 free subs or 8 free subs apiece. It was pretty dope.
Dang, you guys killed it today.
Yeah, hopefully we can do some giveaways tomorrow for Mobile Mayhem for EU. So give away back to the community, let them be able to subscribe to the bot verdict.
Well, fantastic. Well, we've got kind of an interesting week of things to talk about. Obviously, this isn't the only week where, how to put it, rule changes have been a factor of things that we've got to talk about, and we are a little bit behind on this one because we took last week off because of Valentine's Day. But I think one of the biggest rule changes that I personally like is the re-addition of weapon bans. As well as the adjustment to the limit on LMGs, marksmen, and shotguns from not being allowed at all to one. And I'll obviously let you guys get into and break that down a little bit. But specifically, I don't think the Marksmans is a big thing because against some of the top marksman players, it just the SKS for example is the big one, just gets banned. But I think there's a lot of players that, especially in EU, sneak a couple shotguns into the scene and can really stir things up a bit.
No, I'm definitely on board with it. I'm digging the ability to bring back in something that we're 100% used to, but at the same time, I like that it's limited. So, of course, your SKS is going to be banned if you're playing against space. I think Day and I have talked about this on a regular basis. If you're not banning the SKS, you are asking to lose, and teams that are smart 100% of the time are going to go ahead and get that banned. And so is it something that's great introductory wise rule set? I mean, let's be honest, we've seen so many different rule sets, so many adjustments, amendments mid season that what's just a few more to add to the mix. I think tweaking it middle of the season was kind of sporadic, but at the same time, I'm up for change at any given time. So
Yeah. I mean, I personally I really liked the addition. Uh, I know a lot of people they kind of thought that the whole like rule set was kind of getting a little stale, and that's kind of like the nature of every single time we have an update, and you put the top teams in a room essentially for a long period of time, and you tell them if you want to play for this amount of money, uh, you have to find the best shit, and they do, and that's all they use, and when you have all of the restrictions in place, it does kind of get pretty universally one-dimensional, and if you're not kind of following that curve, then you're probably not going to be winning. I did think that the addition of just giving teams the ability to be flexible, and it kind of seemed like a nice little trade-off in that, like, yeah, you're gonna bring it back in a limited capacity, but you're not also just going to just do that. You'll also give teams the ability to add that extra layer of like intellectual thing right before you play a team, where you can take a gun away and you can ban a map, and you can do things like this. So it gives people more space to be creative, and I like that.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of players that suffered pretty heavily with the initial ban coming through on things like the shotguns and the LMGs. Obviously, nobody enjoyed seeing a 10-person Holger meta. That just was not fun for anybody. You can quote me on how terrible the shorty was to watch get played all the time. I mean, watching, what was it, stage 4. I mean, I think there was a point in the NYSL versus ARP game on Crossfire where there was 30 shorty kills before we got a kill with another weapon, which was the Hulker. So obviously nobody wants to see that. And there's specific players that can kind of shine with some of those. I guess off meta weapon choices. I think one of the big ones is going to be you look at the likes of Grizz over in Europe, and obviously he's quite known for his shotgun use. And there's some other talents as well that I think really suffered this past season. And one of them I want to give a shout out to is Captain from AE. Their team obviously struggled quite a bit, but they were honestly looking pretty promising during the qualifiers. And when your lead player is all of a sudden barred from using kind of what they're used to, it really put their team in a very weird spot because you could just tell he was not comfortable on the Type 25 or the M13 or whatever it may have been. He just had way too aggressive of a play style to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, the ball changes when you're playing high school sports, when you go to college, and the size of the ball changes again when you go to college to the pro, and that kind of was personified in the qualifiers. It was a little weird running the champs rules or whatever the previous rule set was. I definitely do think that it could have been just the universal thing, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, by that time we already, or the league already had the rules done, and they were announced, I'm pretty sure, and all the teams were playing on them. So that sucks, but I mean, they made it in, and
Yeah.
and
I think the rule set
Yeah.
was added maybe it was
Like a day or two
finalized,
before.
like a day or two before,
Yeah.
and it was kind of going back to when we had, I think was it Masters, where people bought iPads and then they thought that they were going to be allowed to play on iPads, and they were like, we're going to push back another few days because we didn't give you guys a little bit of a. I think that was kind of the thought process behind it, because I for one was thinking that we were going to go ahead and just book it straight up with the new rule set. I think for finals, which was kind of weird, but I again, change is also just it is taken over. It is adapted. We were able to do the actual mobile mayhem rule set on the finals day, which made it interesting. I don't think AE won a single map that day, which kind of makes sense as well. But as soon as that new rule set hit, they kind of just plummeted. So
Are they in the
um,
league anymore
no, they dropped, dude. We
after
won't go into
that
detail.
shellacking?
Yeah. And I have a lot of respect for Captain. He came by stream the other day, and I was like, bro, man, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys back at some point, bro, because he was so dynamic with a shotgun. But then when you're crippled because you can't use what your bread and butter, what got you to where you were at, I don't know. Does it separate people or players who are elite
I
versus
mean,
players who are just relying upon.
respectfully, I don't think that, taking away a shotgun from somebody should change their level as a player. The best example for that is, I've got two, and both of them are on teams that I'm on. He's Space in the SKS. It's like you took it away from him, and yeah, it sucked. And I was like, man, he didn't agree with it. I didn't agree with it, but took it away, and he was fine. Because the best players are going to be the best players. Grizz, you took away the shotgun from him, and he was fine. Like you figure something else out. But luckily now they're in a position where at least they get the opportunity to maybe use it, pending that it goes through a ban system. But that's always been my mindset, where if you are great, you are going to be great regardless of whatever the circumstances are. I said the same thing about people transitioning from iPad to phone. It takes some time. It's definitely a jump, but the best players are going to be the best players eventually. They'll get it, and we see that a lot. If anything, that's just an indictment against those people who, when you show it, you kind of expose that, yeah, maybe somebody was kind of getting boosted a little bit by something. I just wish that he would have been able to last a little bit longer, the captain guy in the league, up to the point where they added it back and potentially had a chance to be able to play with it through a ban system. But
his team alone was already struggling. They were going through so many roster changes. It's kind of interesting to see how situations like that pan out versus situations like Space, where they have a little bit more of a support system because players are already established. They the team that Affiliate put together was literally thrown into the league last season and just got absolutely trounced on by anybody who had subpar talent. So I don't know if he thrives, or does better in a different circumstance. But I mean, circumstance doesn't define you. So I'm assuming that Space is going to be successful regardless because Space is Space. He's a freak of nature. Bro has developed into a solid IGL. I think that's with him falling back and having to learn a new role. I think he's picked up great in that IGL department, and I think that's one of the things that Yo Mama lacked at first. But every time we jump in VCs, I think that's one of the primary things I'm looking for is for Space to step up. And I don't know if he knows he does it or if he does it intentionally or if he's been doing it for so long he just doesn't recognize. But he's solid. The calls are solid. He knows what he's talking about. Dude has just a great understanding of the game. So, I mean, I don't know if it's fair to compare the two, but similar circumstances and different results.
Yeah, Space is great. He's super important to our team. He's not he's not somebody you can just replace if he was to ever get dropped or if he was to ever quit or if he was to ever not be able to play. Things would have to change. You don't just plug in and fill another person. You don't try to. You can't. So yeah, he's definitely super important. And yeah, we've talked with him over the course of the last year, and now this off season time with Yo Mama where he's kind of evolving a little bit more into a person that like naturally you join a group of people or maybe you're in a group, you're in a room, and it's kind of like priority speaker on Discord. Everybody can be talking at the same volume, and you just hear some voices over everybody else's. True. Just because the ear catches it. And Space's voice is one of those, and that's a point we tell him all the time. Like, he's still so young, and this is his sophomore year. He didn't even have a whole rookie year because a lot of people don't know this, but Space, we picked up Space halfway through last year, 3/4 of the way through last year, and even though we picked him up, he was benched for a lot of the time because of we had Leon and we had other players that we played over him, and he started actually playing and practicing with us at stage 4.
Wow.
So he missed Masters, he missed Throwback Throwdown, he missed the qualifier, stage 3, stage 2, all that stuff. He played. He started. We were gonna drop him, and we told him we were gonna drop him, and he was sad about that. And we had to bench a player, and 2 days before stage 4, we were like, Space, can you play? And no practice, no position, no positional, role, no nothing. It was just like literally, all right, Zim, on the fly. And then we were like, okay, Space, this game you go here, this game you go here, this game you did, and it was all right. I'm doing. He did everything that was asked of him with no distinguished, defined role at all, and we got second. Like that's fucking nuts, Stage 5 was, and that time going into stage 5 was the first time that Space actually had, he had practice time to himself. He was secure in that he was going to start. He was going to play the tournament, and he had that support system behind him, and he took it, and he was so important to our team. Now, with our team kind of changing a little bit, and who knows what's going to happen when the rosters get announced, but he is like that priority speaker on Discord. Unfairly, like it's always like that with team leaders, where a lot of the times the person that just kind of gets nominated to be the captain, or the person that kind of everybody just looks to, they don't want that mantle all the time. There's a whole bunch of players I can name that they just want to play, they just want to fry, they just want to but you get teammates that look to you, and that's hard, and that's the conversation we have with Space, where it's like, you might not want to IGL. You might not want to be the captain. You might not want to do stuff like this. But because you're in a position right now where people like look to you, it's a responsibility you have to accept, and that's a consequence of being a great player. So he's doing well with it.
Yeah, definitely some fantastic points there. I notice, when we jump into the listen-ins in the past couple of weeks, you could definitely, as you mentioned, he's kind of one of those voices that you just key into in the comms, and he's full of energy. He's directing kind of a lot of the call outs for the team and making a lot of that calls. And as you mentioned, not all players like doing that, but it's definitely good to see him stepping up and getting into that position. And I think that's something that a lot of teams can really benefit from. Um, uh, there's a bunch of different teams that we could direct this to. I think um, having a positive direction in your comms, right? Where you're not just down on each other when things are going bad, someone to kind of like help you recollect and get through to the next game, even if it's not the end of the hard point, even if it's, just looking for that positivity going into the search and destroy, that can be a big thing. And uh, Space has definitely been that guy. Another one I could definitely say is Nerdy for Storm. I mean, you jump in and
Storm, yeah.
that kid is always
Mhm.
full of energy, and he's, you'll hear some of the other guys in the comms getting down, and they're like, "Oh man, this sucks. We're getting shit on, yada and yada yada." And Nerd will be like, "You know what, guys? No, we got this. Even if we're gonna
Yeah,
lose, we're gonna practice here."
yeah.
So I think there's definitely some players that stand out there, and hopefully we'll see more leaders in the scene really start to step up.
There's another one in Europe. I know this since you guys cast Europe together. If you guys get the chance to, I don't know what team he's on now. I think he was on Omni or the Omni and Mobile Mayhem roster, but they're a little disbanded and a new team is forming. But Gutila, uh,
Yes.
Yes.
he is funny because he's so full of energy, so full of positivity. Like it is hard to like tilt him. Uh, we were uh, we were beating the hell out of them. I think it was like 150 to 3 or something. 150 to 3 or something in
Yo, they came
some
back in
hardpoint
that
map.
game too.
Ooh.
All that energy came back.
I'm talking
towards
about
home.
like a scrim, just
Oh,
just a
okay,
scrim, just like a
Yeah,
practice
we're
or
beating
whatever.
the hell out of them
And it
too
was
in
several
Mobile
maps.
Mayhem the same way.
We were just beating up on them in some scrim or whatever, and we just turn on. I like to turn on the stream and just kind of listen to how people are responding to that. And it's like 150-0 or whatever it is, and he's just like, "Come on, guys, it's not over yet." And his teammates are like, "Man, shut the fuck up, dude.
Yeah.
It's 150-0. Come on, man." But he's another one. He's another one that I really like listening to. So he's a you should when you get a chance, try to take a listen to him.
It was fairly difficult to get into their comms this season because they unfortunately were just playing so down.
Yeah,
And in addition to that, there was a lot of instances where they were just 4v5ing.
yeah,
And that can be real difficult to jump into the comms because you already kind of know there's going to be that
yeah.
ominous, we're down because we don't have a full squad. So I do wish we would have got to listen more with them, and hopefully next season we'll get that opportunity. Because you're right.
Yeah, they're reforming.
Yeah, I pop into his stream here and there, and same thing. He can be sitting there. I think I jumped in one day and he was playing, I think Rocket League Sideswipe. Is that the mobile one?
The
And
2D platformer one.
yeah, and he is just getting like
Yeah, he's fun.
destroyed. He loses like 4 games
Yeah.
in a row, and he's just laughing, having a good time with chat, just doesn't care. So yeah,
Mhm.
really, really good positive energy out of Gathelia there. But yeah, hopefully we'll see more of that positive energy arise in the scene, because that's really what we want to hear. If you're going to jump into a voice comm with a team that's down, I feel like there's a lot of teams in the league where it's just me and Verdict will be like, I don't think we jump into this team's comms right now. They're losing, and it doesn't. We've been in their comms before. We don't think there's a lot of hope for them to make the comeback. So I'm definitely hoping in the future some of that positivity brings, because positivity definitely can produce talent where you wouldn't have seen it before, right? So I think that's one of the biggest things for Storm for me this season. They didn't quite make it into the top six. They definitely had an opportunity to, but that's a team I definitely hope to see return in the future. Whether there's some minor roster changes or some major ones, there's players on that roster that I'm like, if these guys keep moving forward, they're going to be in a really good position. So.
They're very comparable, like to me, like having teams in both having teams in both regions. So like actively watching both of the tournaments, they're very comparable to EUE. I really like EUE. I think that that they're surprisingly good for the experience. Like that's a team that is brand new. I mean, like calling them rank warriors is being generous. Like they're like fresh rank warriors, those guys, to my knowledge. So and they're in the league right now in Europe, and they're very like Storm vibes. When we played against Storm, um, you know, you guys might have joined their VC, and it was just us like saying to pull out the gloves and just punch what's her name in the face, Annabella, because you know the teabag and Annabella thing. But we after that series ended, well, no, that's Midnight. I'm sorry. After the Storm series ended, I remember Space saying, "Damn, they suck, but bro, they really want to win." Like, and we were like, "Damn, like even though we won, and it was never like it was never in question. We definitely could tell that they were really trying, and we respect that. So yeah, I hope they stay in the league for sure.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we did get off on a bit of a tangent there about positivity, but go ahead and jump back into some of the main talking points for tonight. So obviously we went a little bit over the re-edition of the weapon bench, which again I love. I love seeing a little bit more diversity and not just Type 25 across the board. That's you actually see with the Type 25 off, like the M13, you'll see the Kilo, you'll see the Bison, you see the CBR4. Every once in a while, we see a PPSH. So I really dig that. Um, yeah, so the other change that we had was to the map pool. And obviously, uh, one of the big ones is the reintroduction of Meltdown Search and Destroy, as well as we did have the addition of, I believe it was Hacienda, correct?
Correct.
And slums.
And slums, yes, for a hard point, correct.
That's right.
How do you feel about those three maps and kind of like their individual modes that they're added in? I think Meltdown is a phenomenal search and destroy map. I think it really promotes good teamwork and coordination, and I feel quite a bit the same about Hacienda. It has some really okay. First of all, it is probably one of the more fitting maps for 5v5 just because of the size
Yeah.
and the amount of pathing that there is. But then you also get slums coming into the mix for hardpoint. So if you want to give us maybe a little bit of breakdown, obviously don't spoil any of like your guys' strategy with an important week coming up. But
No, please spoil. Please spoil. We're waiting.
Well, I'm actually interested. What do you guys think about it before I give my opinion on it?
I'll go first. Meltdown, it's a W. I don't care what anybody says. There's so much strategy, mental mind games. Like, if you get shut down at A and it does not a no-go, it's kind of like Hackney Yard. You're kind of forced to go B. And it's so anticipated. If hitting that, like trying to pinpoint where you could throw your opponent off the most and get that A rush in and overthrow them on that site, or even if you just very conservative and go for that B plant, or hell, if you're super conservative, like we saw, I can't remember when it was, but no, it was Search and Destroy against Goofy Goobers and Surge, where they actually lost 6-3 on that map, and then they turned things around and beat Seminole on it, like they were redheaded stepchildren. Um, so I feel like there's a certain level of psychology that's involved in Search and Destroy as it is, but on that map alone, it's just a little different. So that map is a dub for me. Slums, probably one of the better games you'll ever watch. Again, another Meseeks Sunday Showdown matchup was against Seminole and Goofy Goobers, and it was like a 250, 247. Dude, that was the most intense finishing I've ever seen. Hacienda, I don't know. I don't know if I can make an assessment on. I've only seen it twice, or actually, I've only seen it once. We didn't even go to a game 5 last night in the grand finals, but I don't
You
know.
saw
What
it in
to
S
think.
and D, right?
Yeah, we
Or
saw it
did
in
you see the
S&D.
Dom?
Dom's better.
Did you see it in Dom?
I haven't seen it in Dom yet.
Okay.
So I'm still kind of unbiased on Hacienda yet.
I pretty similar answer to Verdict. I think very specifically my like of Meltdown ties into the rule changes where the A bomb site is obviously much more focused on your close range encounters. If you have a strong shotgunner or you have someone who's really good, like Jez, for example, with the PPSH, you can really capitalize on that short range. And if you have someone who's just an exceptional sniper talent, you look over at the opposite side of the map at B, favors a little bit more range. If your team's a little bit more comfortable with the kilo and a sniper, then maybe B is your path, at least on the offense, because you get to kind of dictate the pace of the game a little bit. Hacienda, I'm right there with Verdict as well. I haven't seen it enough. There's things I like about it, and there's things I'm just unsure. Verdict, that is because that was on from.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I just
yeah.
wanted to remind you. Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, Hacienda, I don't think I've seen enough yet, but I definitely see the potential in it. We just kind of got to get a little bit more deep and see how it plays. Slums, I'm maybe not as enthused as Verdict about. I think I think it has a lot of potential. I feel like the spawns are solid 1 second, and then shit hits the fan, and it just feels weird to me sometimes. So, but I mean, that's not the map itself, right? That's the CoDM respawn system, and that's something we've been complaining about since they updated it.
You talking about slums?
What, a year ago? Yeah.
It's no worse than any other map that we watch on a regular
basis. It's not. And again, that's why I'm saying
like the points itself, the third and fourth point are kind of a little close, but I mean, you could have the spawns, but you can't have P4. It's kind of like Summit a little bit. I don't know. I think I'm falling in love with Slums map just because I got that nostalgic Blackouts vibe, and seeing it played the other night, it was probably one of the most intense matches. And where a team gets outslayed by 40 kills and they win by 3 points, I don't know. I think the map is. I think it's pretty balanced. I think the spawns are better than Raid. I think they're better than where are the other ones where we see issues at. I think the most balanced from what I've seen, and Zim probably has a better insight because he sees it on a regular basis. But I think Hackney Yard makes for a good hardpoint map too. But that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have this conversation a lot with people where it's like, it's not the maps. I promise it's not the maps. There are bigger problems than the maps. They're like Scrapyard, for example. People hated Scrapyard. They played it a while, it grew on people, and then the spawns changed and everybody hated it again. Like, there are just some things that a rule set cannot change, that a map set cannot change. You cannot fix the coding of the game. So when you're picking new maps for respawn modes in particular, like really in particular hardpoint, because domination's not nearly as fucked. Like the old dom spawns they're definitely different than the new dom spawns. Like, or new in the context of what we're playing now. But I think they did improve upon the dom spawns from where it was 2 years ago to now. They just monkey railed the hardpoint spawns, and so the difficult thing is adding new hardpoint maps, because the maps are designed well. Like they're ported in well. The dimensions of the maps are consistent with what they used to be. It's just that every single map has some points that are just good luck. and if you're not one of the top teams and you don't know how to manipulate the map, you don't know how to block spawns, you don't know how to do this and that, of course you're gonna play a slums like that and just feel strangleholded. Like, something that I hear all the time in Europe and in North America is they're spawning everywhere. No, they're not. I promise you, they're not spawning everywhere. It's very specific where they're spawning. It's just people, they either haven't learned it yet, or they don't understand it yet, or whatever. But every single spawn has properties that if you follow the lines of how that spawn happens, it more than likely there's a reason, and you can trace it back to things on the map. With slums, it's a small map, so if you go back and you look at where it was played in the BO2 days, it was a hardpoint map. That was 4v4. It is a small map, and I think it plays okay for 5v5, but it was only a hardpoint map. It was not a search and destroy map because it's too small. It just simply is too small. It was never a dom map competitively. So you're kind of picking the lesser of evils here. It's like, we need a new hardpoint map. Okay. What hardpoint map is tolerable enough, that has enough good things that you can do on it, controllable things, that is not going to just absolutely make everybody like rip their hair out, that somebody is familiar with, that they can get familiar with very, very easily. It's not a lot of learning curve. And you just go down the list. Icebreaker, are you going to play Icebreaker Hardpoint? No. Have you loaded in Hardpoint on Icebreaker? The first 3 hills are on like a quarter of the map. It's just over here, and it's right next to a spawn that is at the start of the game. So if you are the blue side, for example, I don't know off the top of my head if it's blue or red. If you're on the blue side, you spawn on the side that has the first 3 hills of the game. So you're not going to play Icebreaker. Scrapyard, you can't play Scrapyard anymore. The spawns they just will not allow it. Not even the new Scrapyard. Meltdown, I don't even think Meltdown is a map that you can select in Hardpoint. You know, so you have to look at what is available in the Hardpoint custom games and just try it. Vacant? Have you played Vacant? I scrimmed Vacant like 3 times. It was. I mean, to say it was a mix fest is crazy. And there's one hill that's legitimately a bunker, and you spawn inside of it, just like basketball. But there's several hills, like basketball raid, where you spawn inside of it. So you can't play Vacant. Hacienda, I tried Hacienda. It looked good until we got 3/4 of the way through, and there's one hill, the Fences Hill, where you spawn in the warehouse on top of people. Can't play that. Slums is the lesser of all the evils, you know? And it's like Verdict said earlier, he said, it's no worse than some other maps that we're playing right now, and that's absolutely, I think, the best way to describe it. Because I've watched Slums plenty right now. I think I've seen like 25 Slums scrimmed maps, and not counting the maps that we have seen in the league and in various other tournaments. I have seen some Fiesta Slums where nobody knows what the hell's going on, and everybody's blocking spawns and flipping spawns and going crazy. That's the player's fault. And then I've seen some slums that it's like, this is a Picasso map. This is beautiful. This is like, everything's perfect. Everything's looking good. Just depends on the team, you know? So my PSA to everybody is like, learn the maps, learn the spawns, learn what correlates to what hill, and try to block it. And if you just try, like a little bit, your experience with the map like Slums is going to improve. But people have to want to learn, and they have to be critical about it. It's the same thing with Daman on Hacienda, and even S&D on Hacienda. Change is uncomfortable, but we have to, or the game's going to get boring, and nobody's going to want to watch, you know?
Yeah, I definitely think you're pretty spot on there. I think one of the biggest things you made note of is the domination spawns have improved, but the hardpoint spawns didn't. And there are definitely some maps that I think needed some fine tuning of the spawns, perhaps. I think Summit is a really good example of that. For example, if you're fighting for P3 and your enemy has the anchor and they win the gunfight on hill, like you were originally like guaranteed you're spawning ass back of P4, right? You basically just, at that point, if you got team wiped, you just get ready for P4. Well, same thing if you went into P4. If you got wiped and your opponent had the anchor, you were spawning on the farthest back side of the map over by P3. And I definitely think for competitive viability, that did need a little bit of a change, but they're just very, very inconsistent now. I think they could have moved the spawn points up, like into the middle building, for example, for P3 and P4, where you're spawning halfway out on the map. You have an opportunity to get in and recontest without also spawning right on top of the point. So I'm hoping that COD Mobile will maybe work on fine-tuning some of that. Again, I'm right there with Verdict as well. I haven't seen Dom played on Hacienda yet, so maybe that's something I'll have to be on the lookout for.
Okay, put it this way. Hacienda is a rectangle. There are 4 spawns. That's it. Like, there's 4 spawns. There's top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, and then like some of the crazy ones in between. But every map has the fucking crazy spawn that happens if everybody's just being a massive lunatic. 4 spawns. I'm telling you, ask a team to let you spectate a Hacienda and just sit with the map open and just watch the spawns. It is brain dead. I watched it. The first time I watched it, I knew the spawns by the end of the first half. I was just like, it's easy. And then when the game ended and we did the next one, I was like, okay, this is how we block it. And we blocked it, and it was fine. You know, like it's easy. It's easy. Teams just need to not be so reluctant to play on new things. I had a player message me in DM, and he was like, "Hacienda's trash. Slums is garbage. You're an idiot. This and that." And I was like, dude, first of all, what the fuck? It's like 1 a.m. What's wrong with you? And he was like, "Nah, man, this map sucks." And I'm like, "Let me tell you what probably happened, and tell me if I'm right." And then this player is open-minded, and he was like, "Sure, I'll tell you if you're right." And I was like, "You probably played this map 3 times. You probably got smacked by some randoms that just should not have beaten you, and that's your experience with the map. 3 maps, you lost every single one of them to people you want to beat." And he was like, "Yep, that's exactly what happened." I was like, "Dude, same thing. Sit in a map, pull up the map, record it. Just record the mini map. Don't record the game. Fuck the game. Record the mini map, and watch it back. And if you don't understand these maps by the time that's done, I don't know what to tell you." And then he did. And a couple days later, and I said, message me back in a couple days. And in a couple days, he said he did that, and he was like, "Yeah, you know, I was wrong. The maps are good." So people got to learn it, you know? It is what it is.
All right. I think our next topic, I'm probably pretty much just going to let you, Zim, and Verdict handle because it's on the Meseeks Sunday Showdown, which I did not make it to last night. I was busy taking a crash course on DaVinci Resolve, and probably
Nice.
doing some more of that today too. So we didn't get to catch the games. Hopefully everything went well with. I think you had cybercasting with you yesterday, Verdict.
Yeah, we had
How'd
Cyber
that
last
go?
night. It was great. It was he casted all the way through the grand finals. Gil did you know, analytics afterwards. We just, you know, kind of shot the breeze. It was a solid a tournament. I think you know, Goofy Goobers, who again I don't think have played consistently enough for the past few weeks to say, but they look probably the best they've looked since Roster Mania. So Seminole, I mean, they took a week off. They come back in. They played solid. They won, you know, some scrappy games, but you know, finals was interesting. How did the Yo Mama and Upper Echelon matchup go? I didn't get a chance to rewatch the VOD yet, Zim. But
I think
were you guys up 2-0 or were you
no.
guys okay?
We won. We won. We won. Did we win the hard point? We split the first 2 maps.
Yep.
No, okay, yeah. So we lost the hard point, game 1. We lost it. We had a 100-point lead, and then we lost. And then we won the S&D 6-4, I think. And then we smacked them in the dom. And then we went into the next S&D. No, it was a hard point. We lost the hard point. The game 4 hard point. I don't recall the map off the top of my head. And then we lost the S&D 6-5. It was a 1v2, Teabag and Gentic and somebody else. And Gentic, it was on firing range. He killed somebody like going to the site, and then Teabag slid on the bomb, the trailer bomb, to head glitch the trailer. Last guy was in the trailer, and Teabag was half health with like a quarter clip of the CBR, and he started, you know, the gunfight on the head glitch against Ingentic in the trailer. And if Teabag had one more bullet, he would kill him, and we would have won. But he ran out of bullets mid gunfight, and like a split second went by. He was trying to like reload or whatever, and Gentic had bullets. He killed him, and then he defused the bomb. So they beat us, and they went to the finals where they lost to the Goobers. But yeah, they won. It was Awaken. It was Awaken, Detri, Ingentic, Jesus, and somebody else.
They had Pingy as a
No,
substitute.
Pengy's
Or was it
retired.
Pingy's or Pepe then, I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't remember the 5th, but I know they had those 4. And yeah, they won, and then they went to go play the final, and then they lost. But yeah,
And
they played well.
They
And we did
played
too.
well, but once
We weren't
they
even
got
mad. We weren't even mad. It was
it was a
like
great
funny.
surge. It was a great
Yeah,
surge.
it was funny. It was funny.
Yeah.
Like he ran out of bullets, and we were just kind of laughing about it. But yeah, they won.
It'd be like that sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there he
Has
goes
to.
in chat. Yeah. There you go, Teabag. Yeah, that's it. I think the grand finals.
I didn't watch it. How did that go? I know they lost, but
To be
did they
honest
get?
with you, it was not as interesting as the semifinals. And
Yeah.
I say that respectfully.
Hmm.
UE came in. I think that's the explicit roster.
Yeah, it's explicit with a rebrand.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. It wasn't remotely
Yeah.
close. The Dom was back and forth.
Hmm.
I wasn't convinced. The search was a blowout. The hard points were blowouts. Even the last one. Goofy Goobers, like I said, I don't think I see. I get a little frustrated when I watch them because I see they have a lot of talent,
So
but
much
I
talent.
also they just don't play to their fullest.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I get it if you're holding back, that's cool. But at times I feel like there's still like a lot of troll like plays that I see from them, and I'm like, I know you guys, know better, and you're selling games that you should have won, or but that's neither here nor there. They look the best that they have looked since Rostermania began, and I think they won one Meseeks Sunday Showdown before Seminole just took, the roles and just plowed through everybody for the majority of the past few weeks. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I love Seminole. I love you, mom. I love your mama. I love Goofy Goobers. I just get tired of seeing the same teams win over and over again. Is that bad? Is that make me a bad person?
I mean, like you can't deny greatness. Those guys are really good, and Goobers is really good too. So like the notion, I was watching the semifinal match, the Seminole Goobers, and it's like people saying, "Oh, it's mind blowing." Seminole loses or whatever, and people are like, "Oh, they're trash and they're washed," and it's people like legitimately saying that. It's not a joke. And I'm like, dude, these guys win a lot. Like they lost a match to a team that's very close to them. Like people quickly forget that Band won stage 5. He won the MVP. Envy was really good. Awaken, or not Awaken. I'm sorry. Molly's really good. Like Washi, really really talented. Who's the other one? Who's their fifth? Solo. We've been talking about. Yeah. I nicknamed him Han Solo after he beat Tribe in stage 4. I was like, that kid is raw. Like they're good. And they're not like sneaky good. They're like good. They're good. So for them to lose to that team, it's like shit happens. And yeah, they took a break or whatever for however many days. I don't think that really fucking matters because those are the same Seminole guys are the same guys that say that they don't scrim, they don't fucking do shit, and they play in the tournament, they're fine. So that whole we took a week break, whatever, I don't give a fuck about that. You guys, who cares? You lost. Just accept you lost, and they did, and whatever. But Goobers is good, Yo Mama, we're good. These teams beat each other all the time. We've beaten Seminole. They've beaten us plenty. Goobers has beaten us. Goobers has beaten them. Like these top teams are good. If Seminole lost to like a fucking Wicked Esports or like a a Storm or a Midnight or Moralto's team, then I'd be like, I don't know
Moralto's team.
I'd
be like, maybe you gotta stop trolling a little bit, but yeah, like Seminole has won a lot in the last month, so just like get off of their fucking dicks a little bit. I don't like seeing them win all the time. I want to win tournaments too, but shit, like if they lose, I'm not mad about it. I'm like, shit, okay.
Bolo's in chat say people forgetting we won every tournament in the last month. I just literally said
like they're good, so it's fine.
We get it.
It's fine, and they're probably sad and shit too. Like Seminole probably doesn't like losing, I'm sure that they lost and they were kind of like fucking upset about it because nobody wants to lose.
Oh hell no,
dude,
definitely not.
It's fine, It's a Meseeks. I'm sorry to say it like that, but it's a Meseeks.
Yeah.
It's we're playing glorified scrims for iTunes gift cards and an audience. Like, chill out. It's fine. So, it is what it is. We're chilling.
And me and Bobby we always bring up the point that chat only pays attention to the past 5 minutes. So
exactly.
if you can look at the beginning of a broadcast and like go look at the live chat and like you'll see people cheering. Like last year, you could like almost picture perfect go back and look, and it'd be like someone would be cheering on either Explicit or NYSL or Tribe, and you watch them like lose that game the same day after they like came in cheering them on. They feel like this team is shit.
There was a kid, his name was Dragger or something. I don't know. I haven't seen him before. He was in the Meseeks chat. And when they lost to Goobers, He's like, Bolu, you're trash, garbage, washed, whatever. The whole series, Seminoles, garbage. And then they lose, and Bolu goes in the chat. He just hits a little GG or whatever. And then this kid's like, Bolu, you're the GOAT. Like you're the best, man. Don't worry, chin up, dude. And I'm like, yo, weren't you saying? Shut the fuck up, man. Dude, the chat is stupid.
Got that keyboard warrior syndrome.
Yeah.
So who gives a shit, you know?
I think
it is what it is.
I think that actually got clipped and put into.
Because I typed, I was like, dude, aren't you the same guy that was like, come on, man, come on.
That's funny.
If you're joking, it's jokes, but this kid was serious, so it is what it is. But no, yeah,
dude,
Meseeks
did popped off the last game, dude. Dropped like 40+ kills. He wanted to win.
Yeah. These people are good, you know.
You know who's been damn good this season is Jez, though. That kid
Jez is a fucking monster, man. And I've been saying this for a year now. Jez is probably the best player on this side of the planet. That kid is in Hawaii, playing on 80 ms, Wi-Fi, going through tsunamis in the ocean separating us and the states and him, and it's like, dude, the kid is an animal. So he's that kid. And you can argue that some of the matches that Seminole has had, straight up, like if Jez wasn't on, maybe Seminole has lost more games in Mobile Mayhem if Jez isn't there, like really piling on. But that's
he's certainly been the most consistent player on that roster. He's been great. That whole roster's cracked, but like he's putting up 30, 40, almost 50 kills every game, dude. So
that kid is great. He's a beast.
He's definitely different.
Marshy too. Marshy's doing his thing too. You know, the whole squad. I'm a little. I thought Slothy would be a lot better, straight up. Like I just thought that Slothy would be on par with Jez and even Marshy of old from the championship, because I just know that Slothy's really great. And Vague too, like all that steam about Vague being the tippity top best player in North America, that quickly died. Everybody was like, oh, okay, Jez, you know, now it's Jez.
Yeah, people were flaming me in chat for saying that the other day. I was like, bro, you know, Vague is the self-proclaimed best player in NA, and Jez is the actual best player in NA.
Yeah, he's the best 4MS player in NA.
Vague is good. Like Vague's a beast, for real. But it's Jez. You gotta tip the cap right now. And that changes, you know, week to week, but Seminole's gonna be fine, you know? They'll be alright.
Alright. Well, I do believe I have a couple screenshots of the upcoming brackets. Do you guys have these available, or do you want me to screen share it in Discord real quick?
Oh, I've got it.
For what? Okay. For Mayhem?
For Europe, North America, and we're gonna throw LATAM in here too, just because there's obviously a lot of LATAM community that intermixes with the NA scene. But so this is gonna be our quarterfinals, semifinals, finals bracket for Europe. And Verdict, I definitely want to give you an opportunity to kind of chime in on this the most, since you are obviously kind of the father of the EU comp scene over there. We've gone through a slew of casters, and you came in and just have been absolutely taking care of business over there. So right out of the gate, we've got our quarterfinals, and we'll have 117 Not Found up against Illuminati EU. And dude, 117 Not Found is a team that is absolutely rigged with talent, but Illuminati is a team that just has not stopped impressing me from the first time we saw them until now. Do you have any maybe predictions for that matchup?
As much as I like Illuminati EU, they have been on the up and up, bro. Every time I jump into their comms, I mean it's high energy. They're like the better Storm of EU, and you know you get in there, you see how well they progressed, and then there are weeks where you see that they could have done better. I think 117 Not Found though is going to take this matchup, and that's just probably an unpopular opinion. But they've been stepping up their game here in the past few weeks. They showed a lot of promise for the past two. To be frank, they didn't beat FN 420 at the beginning of the season. I thought they did, but maybe I'm full. You know, I was fooled. But that should be the highlight, like quarterfinal matchup, in my opinion. I like FN 420 and Anarchy, but Anarchy is not the same Anarchy that we had registered at the beginning of the season. So I'm not saying that this team isn't going to play and bring their A game, but they're just not as dynamic as they were when they first entered the season.
Yeah,
I mean,
the Spanish are gonna win. It's not gonna be close. You know, you can storyboard it all you want. The Spanish are going to smack the shit out of them. It's not
The
gonna be close.
Spanish connection. Yeah.
But
I look, I think
connection with
Illuminati should
connection
win.
without it, they're good. Yeah, Illuminati's really good, and I think you're kind of you're lowly rating them. Like to compare them to Storm is I don't think that's good enough. Like Illuminati
Well,
is
I was like the
is good.
hype and like when they're
Yeah,
they're VCs.
I get it.
Yeah, I wouldn't like gameplay wise. No, it's
Gotcha.
not. It's not even close.
Yeah,
We
Illuminati's
said
really
that
good. They're really good. They're not gonna beat the Spanish. It's not gonna be close.
we
Spanish are
said
gonna win.
that Omni was better than Devious too, and we saw
to
how
be
that ended.
fair, they
Well,
did
yeah,
play
yeah,
all
yeah,
of
yeah,
those
yeah,
You
yeah.
games on
you
NA
had
server.
a sample size.
Well,
You know,
to
you
be
had a
fair,
sample
also,
size.
yeah.
That you had a sample size that suggested Omni was going to be good, and you know they did not end up being good. So you know,
I just want qualifier Omni back. I don't want
yeah,
anything else. You know, they after qualifiers, everything just gotta
Yo,
like
I
hit
don't
the
know about
fan.
you, Verdict, but I felt robbed. Okay,
You and I both,
we
bro.
we came into the season. We're like, bro, why is Omni even in qualifiers? This is probably going to be a top 3 team, uncontested, and uh, obviously that just wasn't the case. And you know, we love Jim, Gathelia
Jim
as well. You
quit.
know, we mentioned great energy. Dude, Jim's quit how many times though?
Yeah, but Jim's not going to come back on this team. This team,
Oh well,
he's
yeah,
done. He's not on this team anymore.
yeah.
This team, I don't even know if they exist anymore. Like I don't know if they're going to play Mobile Mayhem anymore. They might just DQ out the rest of. Oh, well, they can't play because playoffs is done.
Well,
But
they're not in the quarterfinals,
no,
so
that's what I'm saying. So that roster is reforming. It's Gutila, Baines,
Oh yeah.
Bricksta, Capo, and Goliath or whatever. I think that's their 5.
interesting.
And that they're good. And Kosh plays with them a little bit too. So they're definitely really good. For sure.
All right, I think we'll have Zim do the breakdown of FN420 versus Anarchy real quick, and then we'll bounce Zim up to you know, potentially what he expects to see in the Nova semifinals.
I
Obviously
think Anarchy.
obviously you're going to be cheering on Animus for whoever wins the quarterfinals down there, but
Yeah. Uh, I think Anarchy is gonna beat FN420. Or
Okay.
yeah, I don't think that they play really as much as everybody else. They're just kind of like I don't know. Anarchy plays a lot more, you know, and those guys are good too. Like Patronex or whatever. He's really good. Owner's really good. Uh, those guys at Derox, he's good. I think Anarchy is just like locked in a little bit more. I think that they win 3-1 close series, but I think FN will get a map. I don't know which map, but Anarchy ultimately I think will win the series. Obviously I think 117 is going to smack Illuminati. It's not going to be close. That quarterfinal is actually going to be interesting because according to the schedule that I have, the first quarterfinal is FN420 Anarchy. The second one is 117 Illuminati, and that day is quarterfinals and semis. So Nova's
Yes.
not going to play until their semi. 117 will play their quarterfinal match and then immediately play Nova in the next match, match 3, for semi. And then Animus will play. So 117 will beat Illuminati, and then they're going to immediately go play Nova, which will be very interesting because 117 is, like, they're good. And I don't think that they're better than Nova, but Nova's not going to have a tournament warm-up, you know what I'm saying?
True.
So that kind of I think there's an advantage to playing in the quarterfinal if you're 117 in this case. And then I think that Animus will make the final. And then who knows from there. So
do you have an
that's my
overall
opinion.
prediction on who you would put your money on to win the whole thing for EU?
My team.
Oh. Do you have is that your also non-biased opinion?
No comment.
No comment.
Yeah,
What
my
about you,
heart, my
Verdict?
soul, my mind, all that. Yeah, I believe that.
Hey, that's
I
good
mean,
confidence to have as a coach, though.
it's a great confidence, and you know, with the amount of finals I've seen from EU, it's really hard for me not to roll a Nova, and that is no disrespect to Animus. As a matter of fact, I think that's the team that we hyped up the most. That's the one that we get excited to watch. They're dynamic. They have some solid players. I just don't think Nova in a mobile mayhem format are a team that you want to go against in the finals. If they make it to the finals, I think they take it. I think they take the bag. And I'm not saying that because I think it's going to be a clear victory. I think it's going to be, it's going to be close at its own, but I still have Nova winning it all out.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
I
you
mean,
can't go wrong with both
yeah.
teams. Both teams
Oh,
are really
yeah.
good, and it'll be these two teams I think throughout the course of the entire year. So yeah, you pick whichever one you want, and you just kind of see as the sample size grows, who you'll put your money on as the year goes on. You can't go wrong though. I think both teams
No,
are really good.
in a mobile Mayhem format where we're
I'll be
not.
right back. One second.
Go ahead. Where we're not like stage 5 scenario where I don't know what the hell that was from Nova. I know they had a lot of issues going on. Everyone had a lot of issues going on, but they just did not play. They were basically they were very disappointing to watch. But in a mobile Mayhem format where everything's controlled, I think that team is damn solid. And with Spy in the mix, dude, they're lethal.
Yeah, it is nice to see the return of Spy. Obviously, he was doing some coaching for them last year and then playing on some underage teams as well. I think he actually might have been playing on Omni last year, right? When they weren't allowed to play due to age.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so definitely a really solid player. Happy to see him back in the mix. We are coming up here on the hour mark here pretty soon, so we're going to go ahead and shift on from EU over to NA. And for North America verdict, we've got some really, really spicy matchups. And I think one of the, we'll get to that in a second. So our first quarterfinal match, we just shifted over to NA now so that we can start rounding things out here. We have Goofy Goobers versus Explicit in the first quarterfinals of the night. I gotta say, while both those teams are good, the loss of Solo for Explicit has definitely looked pretty hard on them, and it has made Goofy Goobers look even stronger. So, look, I love Explicit and all. I'm like a lot of the players on that team. I just don't see them standing up to Goofy Goobers, especially now that the Goobers have a couple weeks of this kind of new starting lineup under their belt. You guys have any other opinions to that, or you guys pretty much right on board?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see Solo losing to Explicit, considering that the only reason Explicit was winning games was because of Solo in a lot of cases. So, they're gonna win, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Anytime I thought Explicit, I thought, well, there goes one of my panels again. I thought of Solo, and then anytime I thought of Solo, I thought of Explicit. And when those two parted ways, I just don't see that being. I mean, we got a dose of it last night. It was great. It was great for grand finals action, but the games were close, and I'm expecting it to be very similar tomorrow night.
Yeah. Looking at our second quarterfinal for North America, I think this one's pretty interesting because you have both of the LATAM teams just happen to place in a position where they're going to be facing off in the quarterfinals. And while I think Zygnus have definitely been looking better the past couple weeks, they've certainly had some inconsistency. And we haven't seen a ton out of 11T. They obviously finished way, way lower in the bracket, but through talking with a couple of the teams, it sounds like they still really consider 11T to be a threat. So obviously one of the LATAM teams going to move on to face Seminole. Do you guys have any predictions for that? I'm leaning Zygnus because they've been looking better, but I'm open to suggestion as well.
Go ahead, verdict.
11 just ain't the same without Zai, and it shows. Their Search or Destroy game, I don't know if they've gotten any better since I've last seen them. They didn't play this past week. Obviously, I don't believe they made it to a grand finals at all since losing Zai. So I'm rolling with Zygnus.
Yeah. 11T barely qualified. Like, look at the point standings. Storm was ahead of them the entire season, up until the very last match where Storm happened to draw Goobers to qualify. They had to beat Goobers to qualify, and they had to sweep Goobers to qualify. And 11T had to play like
midnight.
I don't know who they had to play. Yeah, like, come on. So if it wasn't for that, 11T wouldn't have even qualified. So 11T, they're good. They're one of the top LATAM teams for sure. It's always going to be, I think, always Zygnus and 11T in terms of LATAM, like the Mexico area, like and the islands that are in that region. I think that those two are going to always be the top dog. But right now, it's Zygnus, and it's going to be Zygnus for as long as they stick together. Yeah, I think Cygnus wins, and they go and they challenge Seminole for finals.
Yeah, it sounds like we're all pretty much on board with it's going to be a semifinals between Yo Mama and Goofy Goobers and Cygnus and Seminole. And obviously, I've mentioned time and time again, I'll never get tired of casting a Cygnus versus Tribe matchup, was what it was all last year. And the same thing is going to be true for Cygnus and Seminole this year. And I think Goofy Goobers and Yo Mama also could obviously, prove to be a phenomenal match as well. Yo Mama, a team that has certainly proven themselves. They've got some great talent on the team. Goofy Goobers as well, as you yourself were mentioning, Zim, that they have a couple Stage 5 winners on their team, including the MVP from Stage 5. So it's gonna be a tough matchup for you guys. Are you as confident as you are or were with Europe that Yo Mama gonna go all the way to the finals and win?
The two teams are different. Animus, they've played with each other for a very long time. They've, they, I don't know. It's just different. It's more business, like business and getting it done on Animus, and then I'm telling you, we come over and the whole Yo Mama thing, we have fun, man. Like it's not try hard at all. Like obviously we want to win, and we're trying our best to win, but it's just a different kind of vibe. Like it's just a good one. It's just fun. It's just enjoying it. And for us to be as good as we are right now with kind of like that mindset, I think makes us dangerous to anybody because we've beaten everybody at various points. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think that us against Goobers is an interesting one. Recently, Goobers has beaten us in some close matchups, but I think that with a draft and a strategy, we'll touch on it, and I think that Yo Mama can beat Goobers and go to the final for sure. It's not like a lock. I don't think like ever anybody. I don't think anybody like you play against Yo Mama and it's just all right. It's a free round. It's not going to be at all. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun.
Mayhem. Yo Mama plays a lot different in Mobile Mayhem than they have in any other tournament that I've seen them play in. Or
I'm surprised we're number one. Genuinely. Like we can laugh about us or whatever and be confident and all that stuff, but like I'm telling you, we made this team to like troll and have fun, and that's been our philosophy the entire season. You've come into our voice comms and literally in matches that are kind of important point wise, where we could drop the 1 seed, we can go to the 2 seed, maybe even end up in a quarterfinal seed if we fuck around. It's just like, all right, I'm running around with my boxing gloves. Let's just So for us to be number one it's very fun, and I think obviously once it gets to a playoff, you shift a little bit into all right. Let's try to win. We have a good seed. Let's try to see how much further we can go. But yeah, like we're just happy to be in this position, and we're gonna try our best with it.
Well, fantastic. I think I do have the LATAM finals. We're probably just gonna skim over this real quick because I'm not seeing a ton of the LATAM community in chat. So, as well as if you look at the talent that LATAM brings to the table, I think it's, in my opinion, fairly obvious what direction this is going to go. They've
You're a Cygnus fan, just go ahead and say it.
Look, I'm a Cygnus fan. I will admit that, but we look at the likes of the teams that are registered, right? So for the LATAM qualifier or quarterfinals, they did start that early. And they did best of 5 through the whole thing, with 11T taking a 3-0 over Yo Mama and Tragic taking a 3-2 over Wicked Esports.
Is that the same? Because you just mentioned, and I do recall quarterfinals being best of 5 there, but is that also the same for quarterfinals in other regions? Because wasn't it quarterfinal best of 3?
Yeah.
And then semi was best of 5, and then final was best of 7?
For Europe and North America, that's the case.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah,
it should just be the same. I don't know. Maybe somebody should talk to somebody like that, because I feel like regular season matches, sure, best of 5, best of 3, that makes sense. But it's playoffs and we're talking about money here, so I would like to see a quarterfinal
best of 5
where it's a best of 5 and you actually get to a dom and have to lose that to go. But that's just my opinion. I hope that the administration and the
I'm right there on board with you guys too. I mean, having to play that dom, whether you get 3-0'd or not, like having to play the dom makes sense to me. So I'm right there with you. I agree. But you start looking into the semifinals, and it's a matter of, this is 11T versus Lethal War, and Zygnus versus Tragic. And I personally largely think it's going to be Zygnus and 11T making it into that finals position. One of the reasons that they are in the North American competition is because they were the number 1 and 2 seed in the last season of Mobile Mayhem. That's, kind of the deal we have going on where they get invited. And then same thing, we were just talking about Yo Mama was in the quarterfinals against 11T. There's 2 teams invited from North America to the LATAM region as well. So
Are
definitely,
there?
what was that?
Are there? Who else is in? Who else from NA
I thought
is
Explicit
in
was, weren't
Latin?
they?
I don't think so. No.
Maybe
Not
I'm
that I
wrong there.
know of.
That's the ideal framework that's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
there. So
That makes sense.
obviously with it being a new year, it's kind of hard to grab the top 2 teams from the region because I mean you look at the names in North America and they're all different, right? And
Yeah.
you look at the names in LATAM and it's like, well, Zygnus is still here and 11T is still here.
Yeah.
So definitely have some high hopes for the Latin American scene as well. We haven't seen as much of Tragic or Lethal War. We see them jump into things like the Meseeks Sunday Showdown here and there. As every once in a while, Lethal War pulls off a good run, depending on their bracket, but I just don't see them standing up to a team like
Yeah.
11T. And, you compare Tragic to Zygnus. Zygnus, for the past couple seasons, has been struggling to have a consistent sniper talent since we obviously saw Cheto struggling making that transition over to phone. Boom, you throw Zai in the mix. They've got a whole season under their belt now, and I just think Zygnus is hands down the strongest team in Latin America.
Yeah, we were supposed to. We were number 1 in LATAM as well for the vast majority of the season, and we actually ended up in the 3 seed or the 4 seed, a quarterfinal seed, because Space 3 series in a row, he ended up getting us DQ'd like entire series because he was using banned perks. And so if it wasn't for Space just straight up being silly, we would have ended with the 1 seed and not had to play 11T. But regardless, we played 11T and they beat us fairly. Like they definitely put a number on us. That match we just were not. I don't know. It was a bad match. 11T they won, and I still think for the same reasons that Zygnus is probably preferred in North America, in the North American Mobile Mayhem. Zygnus is just better right now, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if Zygnus pulled it off.
Yeah,
But I mean, those matches tend to be pretty close, like regardless of how talented they are, because those 2 teams have a history. So who
yeah.
knows?
I mean, I don't see there being a lot of fight from Tragic against Zygnus. I think Zygnus probably just sweeps there. I think there's more of an
Yeah.
argument that Lethal War versus Team 11T could be pretty decent, especially again with 11T missing out on Zai. They had kind of that wombo combo for the past couple of years where you had Zai and Wiru on the same team and they were just absolutely cracked together, but
Yeah.
we just haven't seen as much out of 11T. So I have hopes that maybe we'll see some good matches there, and I typically tune in, so we'll definitely get some recap action on that for next week. But I
Yeah.
think that pretty much wraps us up on the brackets. And then we do have just 2 very quick things to shout out before we get out of here. And that is going to be the first one is going to be the Trovo Showdown for Latin America, Europe, and North America is going to be it's what the 28th verdict.
Gonna be the 28th. Gonna be an all-day affair.
All right, so make sure you guys pop over to Verdict's channel. Are you playing in North America or are you casting it?
Nah, I'm gonna be casting it.
All right, so yeah, pop over to Verdict's channel on the 28th of February for the Trovo Showdown. You get to see some of your favorite content creators and some of your favorite pros play over there. Not a giant cash prize, but a very nice one for the length of the event, right? So definitely pretty solid. You'll be able to watch over there for North America and Europe. So if you're up early in NA, you'll have that. I think it starts at what, 2 Eastern? And then
2
NA
Eastern.
starts at 4 or
Correct.
when EU ends. And then the other event we have coming up, which should be a pretty big one, you guys may have already seen some of the announcements on Twitter, is the Red Magic COD Mobile Clash. And I believe that is going to be on March 4th, 5th, and 6th. So keep an eye out for that. There's going to be some more media coverage on the Twitters for that. You'll get to see all of your guys' favorite content creators. You know, the likes of Noah, Bobby, and such are going to be doing some content with Red Magic over the upcoming weeks, and hopefully we'll have a really good event there. I think Bobby and I are going to be casting that one. Unfortunately, no verdict, but you know, hopefully it'll turn out to be a good event. But I think that's all we've got for tonight. Zim or verdict, if you guys want to shout anybody out before we get out of here, you are more than welcome to.
Oh, good.
Huge shout out to your mama.
Yeah.
Not
Shout
the
out to your
team.
mama.
Yeah, not the team.
Not the team.
Not the team.
Always the team.
Oh man. All right. Well, thank you so much, Zim, for joining us. As always, Verdict, thank you so much for coming on and being my co-host. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for Europe, starting at 2:00 Eastern for North American time. I believe that's 8 CEST for Europe. And then obviously we'll be on Bobby's channel for North America at 8 Eastern for the North American time frame. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, peace out.